Hello and welcome to Bible Study with Alice, and today we're on day 105, Psalm 105 of our daily Psalm reading. We're reading from the ESV translation, but you're more than welcome to join us from a different translation. As you can see, we are on Psalm 105. These videos are filmed in real time. Today's date is the 16th of February 25 and it's a Sunday. If you celebrate Sabbath day on a Sunday, hope you have a fantastic Sabbath. If you celebrate on a different day, I hope when you celebrate it, you have a fantastic Sabbath day on that day. You can find the previous 104 Psalms in the playlist below. There is a disclaimer as usual, and that is one of these videos are unedited and also probably stumble my wording. Let's get started. Tell of all his wondrous works. Oh, give thanks to the Lord. Call upon his name. Make known his deed among the people. Sing to him. Sing praise to him. Tell of all his wondrous works. Glory in his holy name. Let the hearts of those who seek the Lord rejoice. Seek the Lord and his strength. Seek his presence continually. Remember the wondrous works that he has done, his miracles and judgment he uttered. O offspring of Abraham, his servant children of Jacob, his chosen one. He is the Lord our God. His judgments are in all the earth. He remembers his covenant forever. The word that he commands for 1,000 generations. The covenant that he made with Abraham. His sworn promise to Isaac, which he confirms to Jacob as a statute to Israel, as an everlasting covenant, saying, to you I will give the land of Canaan as your portion of an inheritance. When they are, verse 12, when they were few in number, of little account, and sojourners in it, wandering from nation to nation, from one kingdom to another people, he allowed no one to oppress them. He rebuked kings on their account, saying, touch not my anointed ones, do my prophets no harm. When he summoned a famine on the land and broke all supplies of bread, he had sent man ahead of them. Joseph, who was sold as a slave. His feet were hurt with fetters, his neck was put in a collar of iron, until what he had said came to pass. The word of the Lord tested him. The king sent and released him. The ruler of the people set him free. He made him lord of his house and ruler of all his possessions, to bind his princes at his pleasure, and to teach his elders wisdom. Then Israel came to Egypt. Jacob sojourned in the land of Ham. And the Lord made his people very fruitful, and made them stronger than their foes. He turned their hearts to hate his people, to deal craftily with his servants. He sent Moses his servant and Aaron, who he had chosen. They performed his sign among them, and miracles in the land of Ham. He sent darkness and made the land dark. They did not rebel against his words. He turned their waters into blood, caused their fish to die. Their land swarmed with frogs, even in the chambers of their kings. He spoke, and there came swarm of flies. Oh gosh, this is awful. And ants throughout their country. He gave them hail for rain, and fiery lightning bolts through their land. He struck down their vines and fig trees, and shattered the trees of their country. He spoke, and locusts came, young locusts without number, which devoured all the vegetation in their land, and ate up the fruit of their ground. He struck down all the firstborns in their land, and the first fruits of all their strength. Then he brought out Israel with silver and gold, and there were none among his tribe who stumbled. Egypt was glad when they departed, for dread of them had fallen upon it. He spread a cloud for a covering, and fire to give light by night. They asked and brought quail, and gave them bread from heaven in abundance. He opened the rock, and water gushed out. It flowed through the desert like a river, for he remembered his holy promise, and Abraham his servant. So he brought his people out with joy, his chosen one with singing. And he gave them the land of the nations, and they took possession of the fruit, full of the people toil, that they might keep his statutes and observe his laws. Praise the Lord. That sounded really awful towards the later part of that, but that is Psalm 105 complete. And tomorrow we'll be doing Psalm 106. So for those who are new, so the videos are then split into 3 sections. So that's the first section. The second section we will talk about the psalm dates in general, and then the third half we talk about the psalm that we just read, which is Psalm 105. So with the psalm dates, so they're written over a 1,000-year period, and within the book of Psalms there is 150 of them. Not all of the 150 Psalms has a time period linked to them, which is obviously why I'm doing this part of the video. And for those people who are watching that are like myself, like to know and like to be able to visualize certain parts of that time period. And so having a time period linked to certain psalms is really, really helpful, because it helps you to understand what life was like back in that time period. But then you have those psalms that are unknown, and when I say unknown, it's kind of self-explanatory, but not everybody would understand what I mean though. That's why I'm explaining it. Those psalms are unknown because historians and scholars don't exactly know when those psalms were written, but they do have on some of those psalms an event that will link to it. So that event could be, I don't know, King Solomon, King David, could be war in Israel, could be famine, could be all sorts of different types of things going on. Now, they might not know exactly when those psalms were written. Now, I know you could be saying, but they would know when a famine would have happened. Surely they would have known that, Alice. Yes, they might know that, but they don't know exactly when. They can't go, it happened on this particular point in time. They just know it happened, but they don't know how. But they don't know how it happened. They know how it happened because obviously the psalms have obviously explained that, but they don't know why it happened and when it happened. But then you've got those psalms, and there's not many of these psalms, but there are a few, and that's why it's going to be mentioned, where the time period is unknown, and also there's no event that linked to it. They just know that that psalm was written. They just don't know when it was written or why it was written or any of it. They just know it was written and it's supposed to be in the book of Psalms. That's all they know. And when I say they, that is historians and scholars. So with Psalm 105, it was written around 500 BCE. BC basically means the same thing. It's before Common Era, BCE. BC is before Christ. It is the same thing. I just needed to explain that one now, that it is the same thing. And this particular psalm, even though there's a lot of interesting parts towards the latter part of it, is actually a psalm of gratitude that praises God for all his faithfulness in the covenant that he had made with Abraham. Now, the covenant that he had made with Abraham is to bless his descendants and bless the land. So that is basically what the psalm's about. It's basically talking about that God had made a covenant with Abraham, and that Abraham descendants, so everybody that came after him, will be blessed and will have, blessings that are unimaginable. Basically, they have so many blessings that will help them fulfill their lives to be prosper and live such a fulfilling life. And that's what this psalm is actually all about. It's actually about that, even though we're talking about flies and locusts and all that sort of lovely stuff, which is actually quite grim if you don't like those sort of things. But it talks about the promise that God had made with Abraham. And that's what's actually important there, is that. And that's actually really what the psalm is actually about. It's about that blessings and that praising of God's goodness in his life. So, I know it's going to be a short psalm considering we've read quite a bit, but there's not really much to actually talk about, really, apart from that. So we're on day 105, and we are on the 16th of February 25, and it's a Sunday. So I hope everybody has a fantastic Sabbath, and thank you for watching. Please like my content, please subscribe to my channel, and please turn on the notification bell so you get notified of content like this. Thank you and goodbye.